Hey everyone, it is Elsid932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 5 of Married at First Sight, season 19. Okay, we're still in Panama. We are still in Panama. And, we start off with Megan and Derek. She's crying in the car. Remember, she felt ambushed and blindsided with him addressing quite calmly an issue they had with, communication and stuff like that. So she is crying silently in the taxi ride, and I really feel for her because you shouldn't really have to be doing that. But Derek says he feels guilty for making her upset and making her feel blindsided, and he wants that they can bring things up to each other, to be honest with each other and not trigger each other. So that's where they're having to navigate from. Then we see Brittany and Will. She comes back to the room, y'all. Will said, I ain't chasing you. I said I ain't chasing you. And he didn't chase her. And I was like, daggone it, Will. Jeez Louise. So she says she didn't think it would be so difficult. She thought they'll be so wonderful and romantic on their honeymoon. But Will says, hey, you left without saying anything. So she does apologize because she had said she was going to shower, not leave the room. So she says she was angry, she was frustrated. She apologized for comparing him to Megan, and they have not resolved it. But hey, he's like, he don't want her upset anymore. He goes, he picks her up, gives her a hug. He says there's no immediate resolution, but they have to agree to give each other grace. And she agrees to move forward. They do smile. He does get her to smile, but there's no resolution to this. And I'm like, okay, we can't just sweep it under the rug, but I understand we're going to take some time with it. Next we see it's day 5. Megan and Derek, they say they talked overnight. They've resolved it, and they are good after their chat. She says she's a typical avoider, and she shuts down, and she's trying to be comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations. He says he talks through things, but he would usually avoid them as well to make things work. Now, he brought a card game from his sister that also involved the kids talk, okay? Remember Pastor Cal asked him about kids? He said he wanted 2 or 3. He said that here. And remember what Pastor Cal said? What if your person don't want 2 or 3? He said, I may be able to convince them. Not happening. So he says he wants to have 2 or 3, and Megan is like, does that mean now? Because if you want 2 or 3, we're going to have to start now. So he said, well, what worries you about it? Is it a pregnancy? Is it giving birth? Megan is like, the pain. Thank you, Megan. Just one word is enough. The pain. And also, Derek, she is putting her life on the line to produce y'all next generation. So you got to also be aware of that. Now, are we open to options of surrogacy and all of that? I would love to hear that conversation. Next up is Belinda and Chad. And we just see a montage of them going fishing, and she seems to be having a little bit of fun. So I'm glad that she's actually doing one of the things that he finds fun. So I have good hopes for that. Brittany and Will, they go bike riding with Pat and Rhonda, and they each go and chat. The ladies go chat, the men go chat. Now the ladies, Brittany says it feels longer than it has been. It feels longer than 5 days. I know, I understand. But they had an instant connection, and she told Rhonda, what happened. And Rhonda's like, listen, that's the independent Brittany. You got to balance her out. But y'all are so similar. Speak up, Rhonda. So Rhonda does share the issue she had with Pat, that they both spoke about their last relationship. And hers was 2020. His was 6 months ago. And it was a 3-year relationship. He felt judged at the time, and he felt hurt. And she reacted. And she said she was curious really about, does he really want this? Is he really here for a marriage? And I'm like, his last relationship was 6 months ago. I know the show takes about 6 months to go through the candidates and make decisions and do interviews and start these things up before we start filming. It's more than 6 months. So Pat, was it the day after or while you were with the last person that you even applied? Production, I'm going to need Pat's breakup date and his application date. Because I think those two things are a little too close together. Even if it's a month difference. It ain't been 6 months of the relationship and then he applied. It was actually 6 months ago. Pat, I'm gonna leave you some grace. Maybe you applied for the show and then you got into a relationship because you didn't think you were going to be on the show. I need some documentation from production, okay? But Rhonda says that she needed time to process, and he's too sensitive. His marriage, the last long-standing relationship he had, really effed him up, and he, gets defensive. But she don't want no insecure man either. The guys are talking, and Will says, hey, they have different conversation styles. And in his last few relationships, they really didn't argue much. And Pat said, that ain't healthy. I said, I understand, Pat. It needs to balance out because we don't know if he can solve disagreements with his person. But Pat kind of glazes over with him and Rhonda. He does speak about it and said, hey, there are things they need to work through. And I'm wondering, Pat didn't share much with Will, and I'm wondering if it's the age difference in Pat thinking maybe Will doesn't have any, lessons that he could teach him. Put a pin in that because I'm wondering why Pat didn't share, or was it just edited out? Now, the couples go on a catamaran, and, while most wanted to jump in, actually most didn't want to jump in because we had Jalen, we had Brittany, we had Belinda, Brittany's mama. She wasn't jumping in, so Chad sat there with her. So, Jalen said she gonna jump in a lake quicker than she gonna jump in an ocean full of sharks, and I'm like, that don't make sense. Jalen, that don't make sense. There could be gators in that lake that you can't see because you can't see all the way to the bottom. At least you could look in the ocean where you are blue, clear waters and see the shark coming. You can't see the gator coming, girl. I need to understand because the math ain't mathing for me. You're gonna jump in the lake, but you ain't gonna jump in the ocean with a whole bunch of people, catamaran, and people looking out to see if they're sharks. I don't get it. You put it in the comments if you get it. So Josh tries to convince her, like, hey, when's the last time we're going to be in Panama jumping off a catamaran on our honeymoon? So she does try it. She does jump in. Belinda sees it, y'all, and she panics. I'm going to have a short for y'all about that. She panics a little, saying Josh needs to understand that Jalen panics. And Chad is like, leave her alone. She'll be fine. She's with her husband. And I'm like, see, this is why I didn't want Mama there. But Mama didn't pipe up to Jalen. But Chad, I love the way you told your wife, hey, she's with her husband. Leave them alone. If she's uncomfortable, she needs to know how to handle it. And also, Josh seems like an upstanding guy. So Chad, wants to try different things. Apparently, he likes diving. So him being out of this water, I'm like, Chad, I understand you probably wanted to enjoy the water as well. Belinda says she will try diving, but she may not like it. And I'm wondering if this is going to be like an issue in their relationship where he wants her to try things and she's like, oh, I put my toe in the water. That's trying. We gonna see. Jalen likes that Josh did convince her and she's, still okay with watching him and cheering him on, but she did like that he convinced her. Now we see later on that Derek and Megan, they're having a good time together. At dinner, they talk about her dog, Zoe, and she looks at the Ring camera to see her dog every now and again while her sister walks the dog. Now, his concern is the dog going to be in the bed. Is the dog going to be moving around, snoring? And Megan's like, wait a minute, that's going to be less than her moving around and shaking in the bed and his night terrors. And I agree. The dog snoring a little bit is going to be less than him waking up screaming. I'm sorry. You have no leg to stand on this one, Derek. So they hear weird sounds. And she's like, what the heck is that? He's like, oh, that's a howling monkey. He has come across them in Costa Rica. So she's like, okay. And he's like, well, the male is the one who makes that sound. And he's like, I can make those noises for you later. Then he realizes exactly what he said and he turns beet red and they have a good laugh. We see Brittany and Will. They go to a historic site. He wants her to be careful because she's walking all over the rocks and stuff. And I'm like, sir, you're her husband. You should realize her path has rocks on it and kind of guide her away from it. Don't just watch her climb the rocks. Sir, okay? You're not taking very good care of your wife. So he makes a spot for her to sit. That's nice. But she still insisted on dusting it off herself. Brittany, let the man prepare your seat and sit on your throne. Yes, it's a little rocky wall, and he put a little bit of moss and grass to make sure it's a little bit of cushion. Don't be dusting the stuff off. Come on now, girl. Just let him feel like he's done something for you. She says that, they will navigate this journey differently because they have two different ways of communicating. And she always wanted to kiss at the top of a castle when they go to the top of the castle and have a wonderful view. And Will does kiss her. It was beautiful. It was a lovely scene together. Pat and Rhonda, they go to a mixologist, and, they each have a little bit of issue, shaking the shake up, with drink one or drink two, and they both sit with their drinks and they talk about the other night. Now, Rhonda is clearing up. She's like, listen, I'm not criticizing your choice to come on the show, but she was having a vulnerable moment of, is he really ready for a marriage? Or is he just not wanting to be alone since it was so soon after his last relationship? But she acknowledges she did not express it very well at the time. Pat said, hey, when you reacted, your eyes glazed over, he felt judged and he felt small. And she goes on to say, hey, she felt the need to protect herself because she's also feeling smothered. Y'all, they're having a wonderful, calm, understanding conversation, and I really, really like this because she's like, hey, I felt smothered. And why is because she went from living and being alone, okay, and now she is with someone since the day they met. It's been 5 days and they have been attached at the hip. So she's like, hey, I'm feeling smothered, but it's not him, it's just the situation. She says she usually has her me time and she needs that when she gets home. Because when she is in a relationship too, she can choose when she's spending time with that person. So Pat said, hey, me too. I get it. But hey, she was like, wait a minute, you get the whole me time and you needed too, but you didn't want to give me the time and space to process our previous conversation. He's like, yes, because he got insecure. He got insecure. Pat, I love the fact that you are opening up and saying exactly what you experienced, what you felt. This conversation was amazing. So Rhonda's like, don't be insecure. She believes in the marriage. She believes in who they are and that they can be successful together. Pat said, hey, he didn't think it was going to be easy, but hey, now he understands and he has clues as to what areas it may be a little bit difficult in. Kudos to Pat and Rhonda. I know I give Rhonda and Pat a hard time because I think Rhonda's going to have a crash out. But here's the thing. They have some wonderful, engaging conversations. They're not blaming each other. They're not going at each other. Their tone. And when they come together, it's very, very wonderful to watch. I like it. Jalen and Josh, y'all, she's standing on the side of the pool. She don't even want to get in the pool. So what's wrong with the pool now, Jalen? What's wrong with the pool? And he said, well, when is the last time? She's like, wait a minute, that's going to work on a catamaran in the ocean, not in the pool. But he does pick her up and take her into the pool. So he convinces her to get in the pool. So she said her vacations is about chilling and lounging. So we ain't going to do nothing at all. Okay. So they do have the kids talk. Josh says he loved how he grew up. He couldn't do sports. Of course, remember, he was, they didn't have enough money when he was growing up, but he was able to get on his bike and explore. And he rode for miles to the state park and he swam in the lake. And hey, he had a wonderful childhood that way. Now, Jalen shares that her father, remember, was in baseball, so they grew up a bit privileged. They were in Toys R Us all the time. They were playing sports all the time. They were going to the museums and different things. And she also shared that her parents did not finish college. She felt insecure at first about not going to college when her friends would talk about where they went to school and their experiences there. Just said, hey, I never went either. And school is not a deciding factor in his success. I said, daggone it. This is one of the things that the experts got right. Don't match her with a educated, decorated man because that could bring stuff up for her. So he said, hey, for our kids, let us recommend that they go to college, but let them find their passion. That was his recommendation, and I thought that was amazing. So She also shared that her parents never showed affection to each other. They showed it to the kids, but not each other. And she wants her kids to be annoyed by how much affection her husband shows her. And Josh said, hey, his grandparents were always affectionate, and they agree that in their marriage they would be very affectionate with each other. Wonderful conversation. Another great conversation. Thank you all for that. We see Chad and Belinda. They're having a romantic dinner. He asks her, what does she see as romantic? Comedy shows, plays, flowers. She's like, we could be at home and be romantic. I said, Belinda clocking him with the whole spending. And she's like, we could be at home. He's like, yep, we could cook with each other. We could cook together. But he doesn't want it to get routine and boring. She's like, hey, touch, cuddle, all of that is romantic to her. She's thinking quality time. And he's thinking, well, we could be doing something with our quality time. But she does assure him that she likes who he is. And, this can go further and they could fall in love. So Chad says the same. Okay. He likes how she balances him out. She makes him feel special. And then Chad pauses. He pauses. The producers say, okay, you like how she balances you out? He's like, okay, let me go. And then they help him along a second time. And he's like, listen, I don't need your help. Stop. He criticizing production for helping him along. They're like, we only got so much tape. And you taking forever, Chad. So he said he's tired and he's ready to go. And he gets up and Belinda looks put off by this. She looks sad, but she does get up, take his hand, and walk out. Chad was like, I'm going to get there. And production's like, dude, when are you going to get there? But also, y'all, Chad, you are a man of a mature age. They're probably thinking maybe you forgot where you were in the conversation. And they have been observing you. So they've been observing you and realizing you sit. And they're like, let's prod him a little bit. But production, thank you for leaving this piece in because we wouldn't understand what happens when they go to bed. They go to bed. He takes her hand and he asks her if she wants to talk about it. She's like, y'all, she didn't want to speak up. She didn't want to speak up. And this is going to be Belinda's issue. If you don't speak up, Chad going to roll over you. But he wants to hear you. She's like, it's about respect. How you treat everybody. He's like, I didn't disrespect you. She's like, no, but it's how you treat everybody. He doesn't believe he was disrespectful. Yeah, Chad, you can a little bit was. You wasn't all the way out there, but you were disrespectful. But you know where you were disrespectful too? Y'all, if y'all clocked that scene, when they were at dinner, whoever took their meals and took their plates away, Chad's gaze drifted. His gaze followed them. That was disrespectful. That was the first disrespectful. And I'm going to have that in a short because it was very, very glaring. So, hey, she tells him, it was disrespectful and to consider me before you react. He says he didn't see another way at the time to express his feelings. He's usually the one giving orders and not taking orders. But he does take responsibility for how he acted and how it affected her. Now, that I liked. He was able now to really absorb it and understand where it was coming from within himself. He's usually the one giving orders, so taking orders is going to be hard. But what if your wife is giving you orders, Chad? I'm gonna need you to tighten this up. But she does warn him she does not get past things quick. She may need to sleep on it. And she's afraid that if she shows up for herself, he may begin to resent her. She may not be on his side or not be seen on his side, and she doesn't want him to think that she believes he's always wrong. So, hey, he says, tell me how you feel. There is no side. So they do give each other a kiss and they do go to bed. Then we see Brittany and Will. Brittany is upset because he doesn't want to be intimate again. She feels rejected and no wife wants to hear that. So Will does apologize. He's like, hey, I apologize if this is how you feel. But he says after the last time and her reaction to the last time and their little hiccup, he wants to go slow. He can wait. He has no problem waiting and taking intimacy slowly. He's like, let's do everything but sleep together because he can wait. She said it's hard for her to move forward if she feels like she's not wanted or she's rejected. And he said, wait a minute. It seems like being intimate seems like the biggest part of you feeling wanted. And it shouldn't be like that. That shouldn't be the biggest thing. And I think he's trying to get her to explore that there are other ways you can feel wanted other than physically. So she says she doesn't want to be married to someone who's not talking, not intimate, not sharing. Now I'm having a hard time having a real cool conversation with Will, with him in that pink lace top. Hard time with that. Really hard time with that. But Will said it would be crappy too. He understands. But it would be crappy if he did things to push her away and to make her feel uncomfortable. He's not pushing her away, but he does apologize if his actions made her feel like that. Now, he does leave the room. He does go take a shower. And she says she needs a moment, okay? Because her head is about to explode. Now, y'all, if this conversation was the other way around, if Will was the one pressuring Brittany to keep on sleeping with her, even though she's uncomfortable, we will be roasting him. We would be roasting Will on hot coals. Brittany, I need you to sit down. I need you to sit down and pull back. The man is uncomfortable based on your reaction the last time, or whatever the reason. He's uncomfortable with the situation. Let it go. Let it go. Because I don't want to be roasting you, sister, but I'm about to roast you. I am about to roast you. The man don't want to sleep with you. That's okay. Take the intimacy out of it and learn who this man is. But you're starting to sound like you're pressuring him to be intimate with you, and that's not a good look. We see Rhonda and Pat. We learned that everybody's going to be moving in soon, probably the next episode. And Pat has not shared a space with anyone in 7 years. Rhonda hasn't shared a space with anyone in 25 years. They do want to live kind of independently and be independent people, but still come together in a marriage. And they figure that they will figure it out. I don't know how. I guess y'all got to balance y'all me time. Derek and Megan, they're excited to live together and to go through their differences together. Now, she tells him he could play his electric music from 9 to 3 because that's when she's gone to work. I said, come on now. Come on, Megan. You can't tell the man you can only listen to your music from 9 to 3. I thought she was going to say only under his headphones. But hey, she said there'll be issues if he leaves the toilet seat up if she goes to sit and she falls in. Now, Megan, don't fall in. Look before you sit. I agree he should not leave it up. But still, you don't need to actually go to the fall in stage. You could at least glance before you sit. You're not walking in, backing up. We see Jalen and Josh. She says her lease is going to be up soon, and he wants her to live with him. He's like, if this all works out, I want you to live with me. And she says she will see what needs to stay and go, but they are ending their night in Panama, their honeymoon in Panama, with a steamy shower. Now, that could be either good or bad. Jalen got to move her things out into storage. I hope she doesn't just move in with him right away. I hope she just puts stuff in storage and takes her time. But y'all, they end on a wonderful note. Except we know Will and Brittany, they are having a bit of an issue. Will, I'm sorry. I can't take you seriously in that lace pink shirt. It's just the lace shirt. It could be any color. I can't take him seriously. But I guess he got the fashion sense. And that dangle earring. I'm going to get on you. I'm not trusting you with that dangle earring. We know diabolical comes with a dangle earring. Okay? While you're making some sense to me right now, and I don't think you really like Brittany, you're still using the words to kind of say, I'm uncomfortable and I deserve to have my space. You're using those words to not make it seem diabolical, but that dangle ring is giving us diabolical. But y'all, that is the end of the episode, and I hope I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.